I am really, really excited for this one. A lot of the robots that we've seen today, kind of solo entities, they exist either autonomously or controlled, but they are kind of standalone and by themselves. The ones that we're about to see work with people to make people stronger or to help them heal. So with that, I'll let you take it away. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're building?
We're building robotic devices that are worn by people, in particular for construction workers, for warehousing situation, for airline workers, any place that you do repetitive movement. And so these robots basically reduce the risk of injuries among workers. In addition to that, we're also designing robotic devices for people with mobility disorders, such as spinal cord injury patients and also stroke patients. So these are two categories that we're tackling at this time.
Okay. What got you into this space?
Well, I started with the field of robotics, like many of my colleagues here. You met them. And I sort of felt that the field of robotics by itself, it takes a long time, as Mark told us today. It takes a long time to come to fruition in many, many situations. Humans are very adaptive. They're very smart. But if you give them a little bit of strength, the connection of human intelligence and the strength of the machine together would do a good job. For example, filling up a truck, of a FedEx truck, or perhaps any kind of material handling situation, the worker knows how to put the boxes together, where they go, how to make sure they don't fall. So they have some sort of intelligence right on site, very fast and quick. All we need to do to give them a strength so they won't become, they won't get injured. And that's the whole thesis. These devices reduce the risk of injuries and make the workers less tired. That means they become more productive. That's the entire thesis of these devices. So I can demonstrate this stuff for you if you're,
sure.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
So let me introduce my co-founder, Wayne. Come over here, Wayne. Wayne is Dr. Wayne Tong. He's a graduate from Berkeley. He's wearing a device. It's called BackX. It's a very simple device, and all it does it allows you to do anything you want, walk around up and down the stairs on ladders, drive a car and a bicycle. But as soon as you bend, as he does, it minimizes the forces at L5S1, so he's able to pick up heavier object much easier with less strain on his back. We call that BackX. And he can wear that all day long. And in fact, he can separate that very quickly if he wants to get out of it in a matter of a few seconds, actually.
Okay. When you say L5S1, is that a vertebra?
Yes, in the vertebra in the very bottom, that's a place prone to injuries when you do such a motion. In fact, you just realized he took off the BackX device itself, and what is left with the soft components that are basically interfacing him to the machine. That's one of the devices called BackX. It has been, we have over 450 of them are now worldwide is being used at many facilities, other industries, and a variety of construction sites. So that's the kind of technologies we're after, sort of robotic modules. And this is the first module. We call them BackX. May I introduce the next one if you don't
please.
mind? If I can ask Michael to come. Michael is Dr. Michael McKinley. He's wearing a pair of legs, as you see here, and it allows him to walk around again, do whatever he wants to do. He's completely free, but as soon as he squats, basically he looks like two other legs or a chair. Basically allows him to be squatting. As you guys, most of you know, squatting is a form of exercising. You can't really stand like this for a long time, but I promise you can be like this for a long time. Yeah, and you can work on the floor for construction sites, perhaps. So it minimizes the forces at the knee joint, minimizes the risk of injuries without any impeding factor on his motion.
Okay.
They call that LegX. And then another one we have called ShoulderX. It's for shoulder complex. So as you notice here, I think I'm introducing on the right-hand side, you saw back joint, and then we have knee joint. And then here we have shoulder joint that allows Logan to actually, you can see that he's lifting, he can hold his hand this for a long time because the device helps him to lift subject and minimizes the forces at the shoulder joint and maintain that and reduces the risk of injuries at shoulder. These are actually, many of them are used in work in automobile industries.
Okay. Just to be clear, does it allow you to lift up more weight than you otherwise would be able to, or to maintain the same amount of weight for longer?
Well, you can use them two different ways. If you use these devices and if you pick up 15 pounds or 30 pounds, it fills 15 pounds.
Okay.
So if you go back and add up the lost weight, then you go back to what you already had before. So it basically augments you by 50%. Experiments that we have done in a laboratory shows the forces are reduced by 60%. That's a pretty serious reduction, and it allows you for the whole day to work with getting less tired. And of course, as you notice, these are modules, different modules, and you can wear them together. You can two of them or three of them together. And here we have Nathan Poon. He's wearing all the three of them together. He is wearing the arm, shoulder X, as you realize, back X, and you can do all of those at the same time, and with feeling less amount of force. These devices are going to be used on many, many places, factories, and places that do repetitive motion to reduce the risk of injuries.
Okay. How much are the modules individually?
They're about like $4,000 to $5,000. I think they're in that range, prices. And they are pretty clever. These are version 2. Version 1 was released like last year, and now we have received a great number of feedbacks from a variety of industries, and version 2 came out, and we're continuously developing it. The most important thing to make sure the workers are comfortable. They accept these technologies. And another important point is the cost had to be very low. This is really not going to be at the cost of robotic devices of $40,000 or $50,000. Had to be at low cost. So we worked very hard to make sure these technologies remain. And that's really difficult technically and scientifically because you have to use less amount of hardware and more emphasis on the software and intelligence in design.
Okay. What happens, say, with shoulder X, for example, if you're holding something heavy and the battery dies? Does it give you a heads up?
Well, first of all, the very important thing to tell you that all of these devices are passive in terms of power that provide for locomotion and strength. And the leg X, as you see here, there are blue lights there. There are computers in there that leg left and the right leg talk to each other, and they differentiate between walking and anything else. So the battery dying doesn't really an issue here. You can demonstrate that, Logan, what would happen if you turn it off or something. Or you can actually separate the leg, separate the arm if you can. So he moves out, and it just is still there. It doesn't die. One reason we didn't use much of a traditional robotic servo systems and motors is because they're rather expensive and becomes a bulky sort of device, like an alien-type machine. We're not making alien-type machine. We're not making Iron Man, none of those. These are the machines that help workers to do their job every single day to reduce the risk of injuries. This is a real machine, not to make you a super strong person. It just does an everyday job. In fact, I guess a friend of mine, a colleague of mine was in Emeryville, as you guys know, and he saw a construction worker working, and he gave him one of these devices to wear, and it turns out that he came back that afternoon, and the guy was done with his job that was supposed to finish the next day. He did it like in one afternoon. So yeah. All right. That's the place we actually enjoy to give strength to normal people to do their regular job. These are our dream.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you.
So.
If you want to exit stage, right? Thank you. So I know that you're working on another product.
Yeah, we're tackling many industries. The foundations of all these augmentations, to some extent, manifest to engineering, as most of you know, and we're not really claiming anything different as far as fundamentals concerned. So it turns out we use the same fundamentals for other disciplines, and that is giving mobility to people who have lost their mobilities or they have difficulty walking here. So we have designed an accessible exoskeleton device for spinal cord injury. Currently is going through, we're getting ready to submit for FDA. The price is very low. If you don't mind, I would like to give you a demonstration of that technology here. If you don't mind, Arash, can you come on in here? Arash is our test pilot here. He's on a wheelchair here, and of course, Anna is our physical therapist. Can you come closer, a little closer, if you don't mind? Yeah, thank you. And he's wearing, that's good, he's wearing our exoskeleton. That's good enough, yeah. And may I go ahead and move this around, because I don't think he want to pick this up, but I'll do it. This was really full, by the way. The device is only 13 kilograms. He's not wearing the weight of this device. And as you see, the battery is in the back. He comes in, we'll see it. The computer is in the back. Anna is our physical therapist. He's helping him to stand up. Maybe I can give this to Arash if you want to ask him a question.
Sure.
So Arash is going to stand up with this device and walk a little bit around here. This is the training mode. That's what you see. There is a voice on the computer that tells you what's happening. He's using 2 crutches to stabilize himself.
That's incredible.
Very good. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of that. He's got 2 legs here, like 2 orthotic legs and 2 crutches. Around the back, when he goes back, you will see there's a battery and a computer that allows him to be upright. And the machine really does 4 things: stand up, walk forward, stop, and sit back. So these are 4 essential functions that gives him a little mobility, and it's good for rehab center, allows people to walk around, and maybe the rehabilitation process for stroke patients becomes shorter and shorter and perhaps faster.
Okay. Arash, thank you so much for joining us out here today. Can I ask you a couple questions?
Absolutely.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay.
Yeah, my name's Arash. I was in 2012. I fell from a balcony, suffered a spinal cord injury, broke my neck, and was basically told by doctors and everyone in the medical field that, that was it. I wasn't going to get any better, and I pretty much tried to spend every second since then defying that with a lot of different approaches, and using the Sudex, using this type of technology, I think is just a great step in being able to further my progress and my process, and excited to see where this can all go.
Okay. How long have you been training with this suit?
Let's see, I started about a year ago. It was the first time I put on the Sudex.
Okay. Can you tell me about your first experience putting on the suit?
Yeah, well, it's quite a process to be strapped into something, but I think in my eyes, it's pretty well designed. It's pretty comfortable. I didn't really have to do a whole lot other than to just follow the instructions of the team, and I learned it pretty quickly and really enjoyed using it from that very first moment.
Okay. How do you control it?
There's buttons right here on my right hand.
Okay.
So just 2 buttons, and can perform all the functions with that in terms of sitting and standing and taking steps.
Okay. Very cool. It's amazing. So if anybody out in the audience wanted to find out more about your journey so far, is there anywhere they can read along?
Yeah, they can. I have a website in where I keep track of my progress and share updates on everything I've been doing. It's rashrecovery.com, and I just recently published a memoir about my journey the first 2 years after my injury, and that's out, so they can find out about all those things on my website, and yeah, be excited to go from here.
All right. Very cool. Thank you, Arash and Anna. Let's give another round of applause. Thank you both.
You want to bring back or? Okay.
How many suits like this exist out in the world right now?
These are experimental devices right now, investigational device, so we can't really sell these. But there are about probably 10 of them around different part of the world being evaluated in various facilities, for example, in Europe, in Hong Kong, in St. Davis, in Texas, so all being evaluated for FDA. Okay. So they're not for sale yet, but it's just being evaluated.
Okay. How much do they cost?
We think this eventually will cost to the consumer like no more than $15,000, or the price of a wheelchair, powered wheelchair. That's really what we're targeting. Right now, the price for the consumer is about $20,000. But I think with a little bit of a mass production, they would probably go to probably $15,000. That's the rough price for sale.
Okay. What is the biggest factor in that cost? What keeps it up there?
Well, there are many things. Of course, components, materials, labors, and all of those add up. But I want to tell the audience here, it's really important to realize that one of the important elements of this device is that he's sitting here. You will see.
Press to sit. Sitting down.
This device is extremely under-actuated. It's got only 2 motors, one on the left, one on the right. And we purposely made it that way to reduce the number of actuation. We removed as much as sensors we can to remove number of sensors. We removed as much as wires and cables we could to bring the cost as much as we can. So we rely on a performance of the device in terms of computer rather than hardware. So that's what it brought the price down. And all of those will add up eventually to the cost of manufacturing for about maybe $5,000 to $7,000, and the price to the customer by the time they get it would be about $15,000.
Okay. Is this something that insurance can help pay for?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
At this time, there is no reimbursement fee, and there is no reimbursement code for any exoskeleton, at least in the US, that we know of. But Japanese are pioneers, and they have that. But we as an engineer have a responsibility to bring the cost down, no matter if the insurance pays or not. Someone will pay for it. But I think for most of you who know, the hoverboard is a technology that you see. You got 2 motors, one on the left, one on the right. Hoverboard, kids play. It's about $500. It's got 2 motors, left, right. It's got a computer, and it's got the sensors and an algorithm. And that machine is the same thing. It's got 2 legs, left leg, 2 actuators, the same computer, the same sensory IMUs, but of course there's a little bit more. So that is our target. Why is that hoverboard is $500 or something like that? And why can't we get this thing to at least $5,000 to $10,000? So we're putting all our engineering together, and this is just the beginning. This is our starting point, and there will be a while before we see many of those. We wait after my time, but it will come. It will come.
Okay. Are most of the components that you're using inside, are they off the shelf, or are they components that
we try to use as much as we can off the shelf, and many of the other components we make them. For example, we make our own motors to be very narrow, so you can sit on a chair with the armchair, so they can sit and work. The whole idea is to make people independent, get up in the morning and go to work. So we're far from that point. I admit that, but we have all the elements, making it narrow, making it light. So sometimes we get off-the-shelf components as much as we can, but sometimes we have to make them if they're not really available the way we want it. So
okay. I know this one's always difficult to answer, but what does this look like in 10 years?
Well, in 10 years, future is not here, so I can tell you anything I want at this time, but 10 years for us, the Suit X, I'm actually a professor at UC Berkeley. I shouldn't be doing that, but I am, the 10 years for Suit X is quite bright, at least for Suit X, and I'll go to the industry by itself. We want to become the provider of bionics components for consumer products at a very low cost, intelligent design. And to that point, we really want to cover a variety of technologies to make that accessible. So For example, we are raising Series B right now, and 40 people in Emory are working on these technologies. And so in 10 years, we think within 4 or 5 years, many of these devices would be used a lot in rehab centers, not in home yet. We have a few other technologies that make this device more stable. As you realize here, he is relying mostly on a physical therapist to sort of watch him. So we're taking care of that technology also. We have interesting experiments we have done that allows a subject to walk around a whole hallway independently. So we think within 10 years, these machines would be, within the next few years, will be used in rehab centers, and then from rehab centers would be leased to the consumers. So you bring rehabilitation at home, and then eventually sold to the consumers. The whole thesis is to bring rehabilitation to consumers, to the customers at home, rather than putting them on a taxi, putting a patient on a taxi, all the way bring them to rehab center for 1 hour rehabilitation, which is a small dosage. We want to bring the entire technology and machine to the place they play. And we were also making another similar devices for children, which is a lot smaller and shorter and lighter. So in 10 years, the thesis is to bring rehabilitation technology, which is robotics rehabilitation, to home.
Okay, so what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? Is it FDA approval or?
FDA is one of it. Challenges everywhere. As far as talents, I'm very blessed to be working with a lot of smart people here. As you realize here, they're very sharp and smart, and that's a really good thing. We're looking always for talented people with passion. So we want that. Funding is another thing, important thing. Everybody wants to fund softwares, which is really quick turnaround. But here is hardware. It requires a factory. It requires manufacturing. You put it together. So manufacturing is one. Making sure the consumer gets it easily, that's another one. Reimbursability that you brought up, that's another issue. So they're all bottlenecks, but none of those are really showstoppers at all. We will get there. It's just we're reaching to the point that the new generation really cares about robotic devices that being used for people. So I am completely confident that within 10 years, these devices will be used by people and all these barriers will be gone.
Okay. Is there any technology that you've seen in your lab, or be it batteries or new materials that you're looking forward to incorporating into something like this?
Yes. We all kind of technologies in a variety of laboratories. I actually was inspired by everything that was said here. We use them. We use all kind of new technology to try it. If the subject or the wearer, the pilot, if they feel better in what they do, if they do a better job, that's plus for me. That's all I care. I care about to see what they feel at the end of the day. Is this adding to their locomotion? Is this adding to the quality of life or not? And we will use it.
Okay. I think we're just about out of time, but thank you so much.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you.